Christianity is declining in the West while growing in the East. Christianity is still the world's largest religion, with 2.3 billion followers. However, between 2010 and 2020, the global share of Christians declined from 31% to 28.8%. In the United States, where about 95% of the population identified as Christian in 1950, that number has fallen to just 63% in 2024. On the other hand, Europe, once known as the heart of Christianity, now has only 76% of its population identifying as Christian. Christianity is also declining in other major countries such as the United Kingdom, France, and Spain. Meanwhile, in the East, the Christian population is rapidly growing across Africa and Asia. Europe is no longer the demographic center of Christianity. Today, sub-Saharan Africa is home to the largest Christian population in the world. So why is this happening? Let's find out in this video. One of the biggest reasons for the decline of Christianity is the spread of secularism in modern society. But to understand this, I think we need to go all the way back to where it first began. In the 5th century, kings often ruled with the church's blessing, and religion influenced politics, education, and everyday life. That meant almost every decision made by the king was heavily influenced by the church. Then came the Protestant Reformation in 1517, when Christianity split into the Catholic and Protestant branches. Religious conflicts spread across Europe, and people began questioning religious authority. Next came the Enlightenment in the 17th century, a period marked by reason, science, and individual rights over religious authority. Thinkers like John Locke and Montesquieu argued that governments should protect freedom of conscience and should not impose a single religion. Then came the French Revolution. The monarchy and the church lost much of their political influence, and the ideas of equality and secular government spread across Europe. This is how the idea of secularism emerged. Countries adopted secularism in different ways. France embraced a strong model of secularism known as laïcité. Germany maintained cooperation between the state and recognized religious communities. The United Kingdom retained an established church while functioning as a liberal democracy with religious freedom. Once the idea of secularism became common among ordinary people, many began to believe that religion was no longer necessary for everyday life. This is one of the major reasons why many people started moving away from Christianity. According to Pew Research, the number of Christians in Europe declined by 9%, while North America saw an 11% decline. The report also reveals that one of the main reasons behind this decline is religious disaffiliation. In other words, people leaving Christianity. Another major reason behind the decline of Christianity in many Western countries is church abuse scandals, which have become increasingly prominent in recent decades. Many churches have faced allegations that priests or clergy members committed sexual abuse, or that church leaders covered up these cases instead of reporting them to the authorities. For example, in 2024, Gateway Church founder Robert Morris was accused of sexually abusing a 12-year-old girl decades earlier, a case that attracted nationwide attention. Then in 2025, the Church of England began disciplinary action against several clergy members after they were accused of failing to properly respond to and covering up abuse cases. In 2026, the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of San Francisco agreed to a $395 million settlement with around 530 survivors of clergy sexual abuse, making it one of the largest abuse settlements in U.S. history. These scandals received widespread media attention and seriously damaged public trust in religious institutions. As a result, some believers stopped attending church altogether, while others chose to leave Christianity completely. Another important reason behind the decline of Christianity in the West is generational change. Younger generations, especially millennials and Generation Z, are far less connected to the church than their parents and grandparents. While older generations were more likely to attend church regularly and identify as Christians, many young people today either attend church only occasionally or do not participate at all. Several surveys have found that younger adults are also more likely to identify as having no religion rather than belonging to a Christian denomination. As each new generation becomes less religious than the one before it, church attendance continues to decline, and fewer families pass their faith on to the next generation. This generational shift has become one of the most significant long-term factors behind Christianity's decline in many Western countries. Well, we can't force anyone to remain in a particular religion. Everyone has the freedom to choose what they believe. But the reality is that if the current trend continues, many Western countries could become increasingly secular, with a much larger share of people identifying as having no religion. At the same time, something very different is happening in the East. Across many parts of Africa and Asia, Christianity is experiencing remarkable growth and reaching millions of new believers. So why is Christianity declining in the West while growing in the East? Let's find out. Many people think Christianity came to Asia and Africa only through European missionaries, but the history is much older than that. Christianity first began in the Middle East during the 1st century. After the resurrection of Jesus, the apostles carried the gospel beyond Judea into Syria, Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia, and even parts of India. According to ancient Christian tradition, the Apostle Thomas arrived in India around AD 52 and established some of the earliest Christian communities in Kerala. At the same time, Christianity spread into North Africa through cities such as Alexandria, which became one of the most important centers of early Christian learning. Centuries later, European missionaries expanded Christianity to many parts of Africa and Asia during the colonial period by building churches, schools, hospitals, and translating the Bible into local languages. After many countries gained independence in the 20th century, local pastors, evangelists, and church leaders took responsibility for spreading the gospel. Today, the rapid growth of Christianity in many parts of Africa and Asia is driven primarily by local believers rather than foreign missionaries. This is why the demographic center of Christianity has gradually shifted from Europe to the global South, especially sub-Saharan Africa, where the world's largest Christian population now lives. So, what does all of this mean? Christianity is not disappearing. It is changing geographically. The question now is not whether Christianity will survive, but what the future of the church will look like. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.